Hello, this is Kristan Weisdack, CEO and founder of BehaviorWorx of Southwestern PA, and thank you for joining us for another Work Through It Wednesday. Today, we're going to be talking about when hangry happens. So hangry is a real phenomenon that happens with people that when you get hungry, your blood sugar drops, and there's a certain chemical called neuropeptide Y that starts getting you hungry and angry at the same time. It motivates you to go out and look for food. When it happens for little kids, we're going to be talking about the ABC chart, the functions of behavior. So if you are a member of our email list, you already have that in your email. You can go and print that. If you're not already an email subscriber, you can subscribe at any time by going to our website or clicking the link below this video and being able to download these documents. So there's two things that we're going to talk about today. This is the 4-quadrant sheet you should have received. There's attention, escape, avoidance, gain tangible, and self-stimulatory. Now, these are the 4 main functions that behavior happens, but you'll also notice when you print out your sheet, you'll see too much or too little: food, oxygen, water, sleep, activity, pain, and temperature. And then the second sheet that you're going to see is this antecedent behavior consequence chart. This is what happens before the behavior, what's the behavior itself that we want to change, and what's the consequence. In our most updated version of this, it actually has what's happening now, but what do I want that behavior to look like? So let's set this up to say we're going to approach hangry in 2 different ways. How to be reactive once that kiddo is already really kind of frustrated and upset that they haven't eaten a meal yet, but also how to be reactive and proactive, right? How to make sure it doesn't happen in the future as well once it's already started happening. So if we look at hunger in itself, right, there's attention, escape, avoidance, gain tangible, and self-stimulatory. Really, when kiddos are hungry, you think that they're trying to get a tangible item. So take out that ABC chart that you've printed, and the behavior that we're going to put in here is whatever behavior the kiddo is displaying whenever they're hungry. So this might be hitting, throwing, and sometimes you might say, I don't know why that behavior is. Sometimes I hear in my trainings that people will say that behavior just came out of nowhere, right? Whenever you have these behaviors that come out of nowhere, look at the clock to see what time it is and when that child had their last meal, or when the individual, doesn't have to be a child, had their last meal or their last snack. So maybe they're hitting, they're throwing, they're rolling on the ground. Things are going differently than what you would expect. So the antecedent to that, when we go through our trainings, this is one of the first things that we cover, the functions of behavior. Really, right, they're trying to gain a tangible. They're trying to get food. So the antecedent would be that they're hungry, right? Hungry / gain tangible was what I would write in that antecedent column. And then they're hitting, they're throwing, and then the consequence generally is that they get their food and then they calm down. So there you have your antecedent, behavior, and the consequence. When this has already started to happen, so if you're already, your kiddo or the individual that you're working with is already hangry, right? They say, I want it, I don't want it. I want it, I don't want it. For my son, it was a lot of like indecision around mealtime and trouble with making decisions in general. And so looking at that ABC chart, when you were already in hangry mode with your kiddo, the first thing that I would say is make sure that you're using first then statements, because when hangry happens, they're most likely thinking and reasoning is gone, right? They're living in this primitive brain, their fight or flight brain. That part of the brain just helps us stay alive. It doesn't help us make decisions. There's no planning. There's no executive functioning skills happening there, meaning I can't reason, I can't think, I can't make decisions. So if you're trying to really talk through it with your kid, which is really a self-calming mechanism for us, honestly, what you want to do is change your language and say, bib on, then eat. Giving them their favorite items, putting on their favorite show to help them be able to calm down and to use that time to meal prep if you can. But very, very specific language. Don't overtalk. Don't overwhelm them with demands at this point. So That's how to deal if you're already in that situation. In order to be proactive, right, to make sure it doesn't happen in the coming days, weeks, months, is to make sure that you set a timer for meals and snacks. Now, I realize this isn't always practical because life happens, right? But when it's possible, set a timer for meals and snacks. So generally the kids that I've worked with, excuse me, that have some difficulties regulating their emotions need to eat every hour and a half to 2 hours. And so think of the time that it takes for your meal prep and think of the time it takes for digestion, which is about 20 minutes. So if you notice that they get hangry around 9:30, let's say they wake up at 7 and they get hangry around 9 or 9:30, you would want to set a timer for about 9 a.m. because then that gives you, let's say, 10 minutes for meal prep and then 20 minutes for them to be able to digest it. So you're heading that behavior off the path before it even happens. So if you're having these troubles in your classroom, take the time to bring out this paperwork and do a process of elimination, thinking about, is it time of day? Could they be hungry? Have we considered all the factors that are going into that behavior? Now, this is just one discrete scenario, and everybody is a little bit different when it comes to behavior or the people that are in their environment or the environment itself that can be changing that behavior. So this is just one good example about how to work through behavior. So like I said, if you are not already subscribed to our email list, you can click the link below and do that now. Thank you for joining us. See you next week.